Brand new fragrance alert. This one is 502 Iris Cartagena by Bon Parfumeur. This is a brand that is based out of France. Listen to the notes on this. Iris, cacao, papyrus. This sounds like an amazing fall and winter fragrance. Of course, I've had the opportunity to wear it now for the past couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to giving you my thoughts on this brand new fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about this gourmand-leaning fragrance that is amazing for the fall and winter, I'll tell you about the notes, the smell, performance, longevity comparisons, all that good stuff. But before I dive into the video, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. So, of course, with the cacao and the iris, the papyrus, and papyrus is one of those ingredients, whenever I think about it, I always think about Santal 33. Don't worry, this doesn't smell anything like Santal 33. It's actually a very gourmand-leaning fragrance. And the iris creates like this almost powdery tendency, but not quite. Because when you think of iris and then you think of cocoa, you're going to think of cocoa powder, right? So it's almost having like this pseudo powdery quality, but not really. It's very grounded in some other gourmand elements. And as I smell this one, I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening in here? There's something really interesting about this fragrance. And I think the brand is available at Nordstrom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have the opportunity to sample a lot of Bon Parfumeur fragrances in a major department store. So please take advantage of that. But gourmand-leaning fragrance, brand new release. I think this one is going to be great for the fall and winter. And this is definitely one of the ones to prioritize for this time of the year. Of course, it comes inner box, outer sleeve, really nice presentation. I also have their tuberose, which I look forward to reviewing maybe next month. But if you have tried any Bon Parfumeur fragrances, let me know what you think. Drop your comment down below. Nevertheless, I'm excited to give you my thoughts on the smell. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get this combination of cocoa and iris. Now, in the back, it says cacao. It depends on how the ingredient is processed, of course, and if you're consuming it, right? Cocoa, cacao, they give off a similar vibe. So it's a little chocolatey, it's a little powdery. It definitely has these gourmand tendencies, but nothing about this fragrance is sweet and sticky. As a matter of fact, it's kind of dry and powdery. And you smell this one, you're like, wow, it definitely gives off like this dry, powdery personality. And the iris contributes to that, right? Like, it's one of those ingredients where, depending on how it's used and what other notes it's paired with, it doesn't really smell floral, even though an iris flower, it's a flower, right? But it doesn't smell floral in this fragrance. And a lot of times I say that iris can also give a perfume a very sort of a clean vibe. That's not happening in here either. Not to suggest or imply that this fragrance smells dirty, right? No, nothing like that. But it's a bit on the darker side of things, despite the inclusion of the note of iris. So the papyrus that's in here, it almost has like this dark, woodsy, peppery personality, which is really interesting. Again, smells nothing like Santal 33. But you smell this one and the cacao, that chocolatey vibe that's in here, the diffusiveness of the iris. It's one of those ingredients where, and it kind of creates this overall vibe or smell that makes you want to sink your teeth into it. It's so hard to explain, but you smell it and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. The last time that I had a reaction like this was with Gris Charnel by BDK Parfum. And what I love about this one is that it's an extrait, right? So all of their fragrances are eau de parfum, with the exception of this new collection, if I'm not mistaken. All of these are extrait, darker bottles, darker presentation, and I've noticed that that actually affects the performance as well. So I get about 8 hours on skin. It's all going to depend on your skin chemistry. You might get 7, you might get 9, right? But like an average of 8, I would say. And just the gourmand tendencies without being overly sticky and sweet and syrupy, but having that sweet property in there, the diffusiveness of the iris, that dark woodsy personality of the papyrus, almost adding like this element of mystery to the fragrance. This is really interesting. Please try this one if you haven't already done so. And there's a lot more than meets the eye. I know with Bon Parfumeur, they list like 3 ingredients on the box. But, you know, the perfumer actually includes a lot more than that, depending on how complex they wish to make the perfume. And this one is really, really interesting. The smell, the lasting power, it's one worth checking out, especially this time of the year. This is the only time of the year to check this one out, if I'm being honest. So don't miss your opportunity. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, for me, it's unique, right? At times I thought of Santal 33, at times I thought of Gris Charnel. I also thought of Ottimo by Pernod Noir. I thought of Experimental Perfume Club's Tonka Extraordinaire. Like they're all kind of in that same sort of a dry, sweet, gourmand vibe with touches of cacao and tonka bean. So I was, well, except for Santal. Santal 33 is not sweet, but I was reminded of all of those fragrances, but this one does its own thing, and I really admire that. Longevity, 8 hours. Projection, it radiated, I would say, at an arm's length for the first 45 minutes to an hour of application. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5, 5.5, a skin scent right around hour 8. And of course, all of that is going to be contingent upon the season in which it's worn. If the weather is a bit hot, thus, you know, creating more diffusiveness. If your skin is more oily or more dry, what your pH levels look like, more acidic, more alkaline. You know, there's a lot of determining factors and a lot of variables to consider there. As far as the versatility, great for the colder weather, perfectly unisex, anybody of any age, and you can dress it up or dress it down. So I really admire the versatility of this one. As far as the presentation is concerned, the black aesthetic I think looks super, super cool. My final verdict on 502 Iris Cartagena by Bon Parfumeur, beautiful fragrance. Right? I've reviewed so many of their fragrances because I've acquired so many throughout the past couple of years. And as it turns out, this is one of the really beautiful offerings for the colder weather. And of course, there are certainly others that I would recommend for the colder weather. There's obviously a leather offering that I really enjoy with Tonka. There's you know, a patchouli offering that I really enjoy, and I always forget the numbers. I don't do well with that, but Iris Cartagena is beautiful for this time of the year. Please, please, please try it. If you see it in your store, pick it up, spray it, try it. I have a feeling you'll really like it. So thank you so much for joining me in today's review. That was my review of Iris Cartagena by Bon Parfumeur. If you took anything of value from today's review, if you feel like you've learned anything, please go ahead and show your support by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. It would really, really mean a lot to me. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.